Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be speculating about the fighters for Universes 4 and 6. Now this video is just speculation, so don't take any of it too seriously, as most of my speculation is based just upon their looks and the very little we know about these fighters. First up, I'm going to start with Universe 4, and the first fighter I'm going to be talking about is the female fighter wearing the purple dress. She really looks like she would be aquatic themed. As you can tell behind her hair, her ears look like little fins. So I'm thinking maybe based off of like a mermaid or a naga, something like that. Perhaps some type of water powers. I really don't think she's going to be a hand-to-hand physical fighter. Probably use ki or spells or something to fight from a distance. She may even be a support type of character with possibly some healing techniques. To the right of her we have a wolf-looking fighter, and he has a beard. He looks really, his character design is really interesting. His attire his outfit's really looks kind of regal, almost like a suit, and then he's got a green beard. It's a really interesting design. I have no idea about his fighting style or his abilities. The only thing I can guess is, judging by his appearance, that he may talk in kind of like his character style may be kind of like a regal, honor-based type of character. Below the wolf fighter we have what's definitely the smallest fighter for Universe 4. He's kind of looks like a blue and red version of Chaozu, at least his eyes do. It's a really weird design, probably the weirdest out of all the universes in this tournament. For his abilities, I really have no idea, but I could picture something, and this is pretty crazy, but I could just picture him blowing up really big like a pufferfish. In the small scene that it does show Universe 4, it shows whenever that large fighter next to him stomps on the ground, he kind of floats a little bit. It just kind of like hovers from the reverberation of the stomp. Maybe he does blow up like a pufferfish, like a beach ball, and floats around. I really have no idea. Next up we have who's definitely the biggest fighter of Universe 4. He really looks like a giant green orc. He's obviously going to have really strong brute strength. His outfit kind of reminds me of something from like Planet Hulk or something from the Marvel Comics. I'm going to make a prediction and say he's probably not the strongest member of this universe. He's more going to be along the lines of somebody who's going to be fodder to show how strong, how big and strong he looks, and then he's going to get taken out by another person who's even stronger and maybe doesn't look it. Next to the orc we have a small female fighter. Her character design really reminds me of something like a princess. She does have like a little crown tiara thing going on, and her outfit, just her whole style kind of reminds me of the character design style that Toriyama has for the Dragon Quest JRPG series. That's what, a few of these characters remind me of that, but her definitely. I could also say, just like the first character I talked about of this universe, that she's probably not a hand-to-hand fighter. She probably is a ranged or even a support character who has ki or magic abilities that can heal, that can maybe do damage from afar. The next fighter we have looks like a fox. I really think he's going to be part of the same race of the Universe 8's God of Destruction, Liquor. They both look like foxes, just different color schemes, but I think it may be possible. For his outfit, it looks to be Chinese themed, definitely martial arts related, the long sleeves. We've seen that in other games before. I'm predicting that his fighting style is going to be all hand-to-hand. He's going to be very heavy into martial arts, kung fu style, not a whole lot of ki blast and fighting from afar. So I expect some pretty exciting fight choreography whenever he's on the screen. The next fighter is a female fighter who's very round, and her outfit looks to be martial arts related, and I'm basing that just really off of the sash that she has wrapped around her. For her abilities, I think she's going to be deceptively quick. Usually for a rounder character like that, you'd expect him to be slow, but I really think she's going to be pretty fast and nimble, maybe like a gymnast. She may have an ability similar to that of Botamo's from Universe 6, where she can bounce around at really high speeds and knock people around. The last fighter that we can see for Universe 4 is Ganos. Ganos was used as a spy by Kitela, the god of destruction of Universe 4, to spy on Universe 7, and that's how they found out that Frieza was being resurrected. That alone tells us a little bit about how he could fight and what his style is like. He's definitely a fighter, but he's also a spy, so expect some stealth tactics. Whenever he was talking to Kitela, you could see that he had like bird claw feet. So I don't know what that has to do. I mean, I'm sure that's just for his race, but I don't know if perhaps he can sprout wings or some other kind of bird related abilities. He seems to be one of the stronger fighters for their universe. I'm not sure if he will be the most powerful fighter for Universe 4, but he'll definitely be one of the top 3. There are 2 fighters that we haven't seen yet for Universe 4. I'm thinking that they have an invisibility power or some kind of stealth power. That's why they can't be seen right now. Tin Shinhan mentions that he can sense a faint presence of some other fighters, so they're definitely there. We just know next to nothing about them. The only thing we may have any idea about is the name of one of those 2 fighters, and that's Damon. And that's all we have to go on, and that's came from a leak from the Toei website. So other than that, we really don't know much about these other last 2 fighters for Universe 4. My most anticipated fighter for Universe 4, out of the 8 that we can see, because obviously I really want to see what the other 2 fighters are like, but out of the 8 that we have been introduced to, I think I really want to see what the martial arts Fox can do. I just have a feeling that he's going to be one of the strongest, at least in the top 3, if not the strongest for their universe, and I expect really good fighting from him. Next, we're going to talk about the fighters for Universe 6. Now, Universe 6, we already know a lot about most of the fighters from this universe, but I'm still very hyped for it because a lot of these fighters are pretty cool already. And we're going to go ahead and start up with Botamo. Botamo didn't really get his chance to shine in the first tournament they had against Universe 7. He seemed really powerful. First off, his tanking ability, he tanked a Kamehameha from Goku right to the chest, and it didn't even budge. He didn't even try to block it or anything. It just did no damage to him. And also, he was able to tank all of Goku's hits and seemingly absorb them or dissipate the damage that it was doing to him. So defensively, he's a very top-notch character. He also showed an ability where he was spitting out Ki Blast, Rapid Fire. That seems pretty powerful. And he has what I consider probably his signature move, where he can very deceptively quickly bounce around everywhere and use that to maybe even knock an enemy out of the ring or just do a lot of damage. Next up, we're going to talk about Kale. Kale is a female Saiyan from Universe 6, and I'm really excited to see what she does in this tournament. Her episode where she first goes Super Saiyan and they find out that her Super Saiyan form is not the typical Super Saiyan was a really awesome episode, and I'm just excited to see the full extent of her power. Now, she's obviously an homage to Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan. I don't know what they're going to end up calling her form of Super Saiyan. I heard people calling it Super Saiyan Berserk, and a lot of people don't want to call it Legendary Super Saiyan, so I don't really know what it's going to be called, but it seems very powerful. A lot of her moves, well, pretty much everything that she does in the episode where she first transforms is very spot on, similar to Broly from the movies. Her ki blast is similar, her size, her attitude, some of the lines she even said. So I'm very, very excited just to see how powerful she is in comparison to everyone else. The other female Saiyan from Universe 6 is Caulifla. Caulifla has a lot of cool things about her character. First off, her attitude is very cool. She's like a badass punk Saiyan female warrior who doesn't take shit from anybody. That alone is cool in itself, but also she is probably the truest form of a genius that we've seen in Dragon Ball. There's a lot of characters that could be considered elite or geniuses, but she really takes the cake. She, in a matter of what seems like hours, in the same place where she was training with Kaba, she unlocks Super Saiyan 1, and then when she's trying to protect Kaba from Kale, she seemingly unlocks Super Saiyan 2, which is pretty much unheard of. That's an insane amount of power growth in such a short amount of time. So I'm really, really excited to see what she's gonna bring to the tournament. She is a true genius, so I really expect her to, if not learn another form during the tournament, she will at least grow in some stretch and be a lot stronger than what she already is now, just judging off of how quickly she has already grown that we've seen so far. Next, I want to quickly talk about the two mysterious shadowed figures behind Hit. All we can see is their silhouette, nothing else, and even then it's still hard to tell. But judging by the character on the left, at least, he looks to have two things protruding from both sides of his head. Now those could be pointed ears, or they could be horns, or even antenna. Could this be, or could either of them be, a Universe 6 Namekian? That would be really cool to see more Namekians, and also the interactions that Piccolo could have with this character would be really interesting. Next I'm going to talk about the legendary assassin Hit. Hit's a really cool character. He's obviously one of the strongest, hands down, of Universe 6, and we actually learned a lot more about him since the tournament between Universe 6 and 7. Whenever he was trying to assassinate Goku, we learned a lot more about his powers and his time skip. And it turns out that his time skip, he could store up the time that he skipped, and he can save it up and create a pocket dimension. And with this pocket dimension, that's how he can do all sorts of crazy things, like he can freely pass in between the pocket dimension and our regular dimension, and that can cause him to become untargetable. Like, you can still see him like an after image, but he can't take any damage. Everything will pass right through him, which is a very strong defensive ability. And also, which is really deadly technique, is that he can send his shockwaves, his attacks, through the pocket dimension and make them appear somewhere else, which is very, very tricky, and obviously that's how he's such a good assassin. I really can't wait to see how much more he can grow during this tournament. As we saw in the Universe 6 and 7 tournament, he was able to grow and increase the power of his time skip during his fight with Goku. So imagine what he can do during this, or what he's done since then. He's definitely going to be one of the top fighters in the out of all 8 universes, in my opinion. The next fighter looks like a small red boar in a black monk's robe. There's either two ways he could go. He could possibly be a ranged fighter fighting with ki or magic from a distance, or he could completely throw us off and transform into a giant hulking brute and be a powerhouse. That's where I'm guessing either of the two ways that they'll take this character. Behind him we have Magetta. I think Magetta is one of the cooler fighters for Universe 6. He's extremely heavy and very, very tanky. He's also very strong. He has an ability where he can spin around very quickly and turn himself into like a super deadly top. He also shows that he can drink. He carries around like a canister of lava, and he drinks it, and he can use the lava inside of him to heat up the area around him, produce steam. He can fire out his lava spit, which is a concentrated blast of lava. He can use it to clash against other people's key beams. Just a very strong character overall, and I'm really excited to see if he brings anything new to the Tournament of Power. Next we have Kaba, the Saiyan Warrior from Universe 6. Kaba was really exciting because he was the first Saiyan that we met from another universe. Before that, we had no idea it was possible. He also is a genius, maybe not to the level of Caulifla, but he did unlock Super Saiyan during his fight with Vegeta, which some fans had problems with, but I think it really just speaks to the level of his ability and his genius. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do in the tournament. We've already seen him fight. He has some moves that are similar to Vegeta and just Saiyan fighting in general. What I'm really wondering is if he's going to achieve a new Saiyan form during this tournament, and if not, what else is he going to bring to the tournament? I could see him being more of like a leader, at least a tactical advisor for their team. We'll really have to see whenever the tournament begins. The last fighter that I'm going to talk about for Universe 6 is Frost. Frost is a really cool character because when we first met him, he's essentially Frieza, but from Universe 6, which is already really awesome because as far as we know, there was no other members of Frieza's race out there, let alone in another universe. The thing about Frost is that his style is a little bit different than Frieza, where Frieza ruled through power and fear. Frost did things a little more underhandedly, where he made himself out to look like the good guy while he was doing bad things in secret. His fighting style is very underhanded, and he uses a lot of dirty tricks, like his poison needles. I'm really wondering if he's going to break the rules of the tournament and sneak in any more tricks like that. Another thing I'm wondering about is what his plot with Frieza is going to be. It seems like they're trying to cook up some kind of scheme, but I'm really not sure what they can do with so many other powerful fighters around, especially the gods. But I'm sure it'll be something that will surprise all of us. Also, what I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about is, since Frieza was able to achieve a form past his fourth form, his Golden Frieza form, what is Frost going to be able to do? Is Frieza going to tell or teach Frost about transcending his fourth form? And if he does, what is that fourth form going to look like? I personally really hope it's not another clone of Golden Frieza. It would be really interesting if they would use this opportunity to bring in Cooler's final transformation into canon and give it to Frost, but that's just wishful thinking on my part. As for my most anticipated fighter for Universe 6, it's a really hard decision to make because I like a lot of fighters from this universe, but if I were to pick one, it would have to be Kale. I think Kale's a very cool character. First off, she's a female Saiyan, so that's already really cool. And secondly, I'm a really big fan of the aesthetics and design of Broly and his berserk fighting style, and the fact that they're bringing that into canon with Kale is really awesome. I just really can't wait to see what she does. She's probably going to be a powerhouse of a character. I hope they don't do her dirty and have her get knocked out really early in the tournament, but we'll have to see as the tournament progresses. And that's it for Universes 4 and 6. Once again, this is just speculation, so don't take any of this too seriously. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments down below, and
if that's all, I've really got to be going. I have another delivery to make. Bye.